Welcome, bienvenidos. Hoy en Día TV 3.0, 3.0. Today is March 7th, 2024, and we are back at it. Estamos de regreso con Hoy en Día TV. So a little bit about Hoy en Día TV for those who do not know. I actually started this venture back in 2018. Yes, a long time ago. Nevertheless, we were streaming on Latinos NC TV. Shout out to Ruben Reyes. Also, shout out to Ruben and Raw One for helping me produce the show. And obviously, COVID happened, COVID. Womp womp, right? Pero, nevertheless, we took a break y estamos de regreso. We're here and back at it. So a little bit about Hoy en Día for those who don't know, para los que no sepan, ¿qué es Hoy en Día? What is Hoy en Día? Bilingual Lifestyle Show, un show bilingüe que se habla de todo un poco. We add a little bit of sazón, sofrito, esto y lo otro, a little pizzazz. But it's a bilingual lifestyle show because we talk about real life topics. De todo un poco, like I said, a little bit of everything. There's really no topic off limit because the goal is to positively influence, enlighten, and help people think differently. So, a little bit about me. I am Yessi Rodriguez, your host and producer of the show. I am really happy. Thank you all for tuning in. Gracias a ustedes por estar aquí conmigo en esta noche tan linda. Dios los bendiga. God bless you all. And so I'm a professional actor, model, brand ambassador, MC, business owner. For those who want to know more about who Yessi is, moi, you can find me on Google under Yessi Rodriguez. Also, you can go on my social media pages. Also, when you get a chance, follow Hoy en Día TV. We are on YouTube, on Instagram. And so more to come. I have two special gentlemen that's going to be joining me as my co-host throughout the season of Hoy en Día TV. We have Tim Stewart and Manny Morales. I'm going to bring them up momentarily. All right, here we go. Bringing to the stage Tim Stewart. Tim, welcome. Bienvenidos.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well. I am so excited to be here on your show. It's an honor and a privilege to even be, considered to be on the show. I believe in the mission and the vision, and so I'm just, really excited to be a part of, the vision that has been planted inside of you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Tim. And I'm actually happy and honored that you decided to say yes and join me on this platform. So thank you. So Tim, a little bit about you. Tell the audience who is Tim Stewart? What do you do?
Well, I am a motivational speaker, a life coach, and a published author. So, I discovered who my gift at around 45 years of age, and I discovered I like to talk. Right, so you see my logo is Talk Man Talk, and what happened? I was told that if I wanted to be considered a subject matter expert, then I had to become an author. Well, I really didn't have this gift of writing, but I knew I wanted more speaking opportunities. So I set out on this path to write a book, and I wrote a book called Free Yourself from Yourself. And from that book, I talk about my story
Mhm.
and challenges that I went through dealing with life on life's terms. And I talk about 12 principles that I
Okay.
use to change situations and conditions in my life. And so now those 12 principles have become visual aids that I distribute across the country to schools and different organizations so that they can help change the culture in those communities. So that's my passion. That has become my purpose. My vision is to create happier, healthier, and safer communities in which to live, work, and play.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know throughout the show, we'll definitely touch more on those principles and help enlighten the community of what those principles are based on what you wrote in your book. Para los
Yes.
que están aquí con nosotros, Jim es un autor y él escribió un libro. Y más adelante vamos a tener el libro de él. We're going to have your book. Do you have a sample of your book? Or not, we can put it on the webpage as well. So that way
Yeah, I
people
do.
can access your
Yeah.
book. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to bring on the show Manny Morales, who's also an author as well. Manny, welcome.
Hola, ¿cómo estamos?
Hey, brother.
Hola,
Going on?
bienvenidos a Hoy en Día TV. Manny, díganos un poco de quién es Manny. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Manny es un autor.
Okay.
Escribió una novela que es como un poco erótico o sensual, pero de la calle.
Oh, erotic. Okay.
I'm an author. My book is it's kind of erotica, sensual, suspense, street. And I also model. Soy un modelo también. And I'm just trying to, um, live the dream pretty much.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And so, again, for those who are tuning in, Manny and Tim are both authors, son autores de libros, y vamos a tener más información de esos libros más adelante. And so, yeah, so with Hoy en Día, we talk about a little bit of everything, like I mentioned earlier. And today's topic is about self-ships. Now, when people think about self-ships, you know how we have different relationships. What about your relationship with yourself? Contigo mismo. La relación que tienes contigo mismo. ¿Cómo te cuidas? How do you take care of yourself? And so that is a topic we're going to dive more into. And so when I was doing some studying on this topic, I came across a really cool breathing exercise that I actually want to share with you all. Para ustedes tengan un ejercicio de respirar para que te ayude con su ansiedad y te haga sentir un poco más mejor. All right, so are y'all going to do it with me or am I going to do this by myself?
Of course.
No, I'm gonna do it with you. I'm
Okay,
in there.
cool,
I'm all
cool.
in.
All right, so I'm going to tell you how it is first, and then we'll all do it together. So first, you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. You're going to hold it for 8 seconds, and you're going to release for 4 seconds. Okay?
Okay.
So 4, 8, 4. So in
Okay.
3, 2, 1. How do you feel? Any different?
Lightheaded.
Un poco más calmado.
Calmado. Okay, so you te sientes un poco más calmado, and that was the point. Now, sometimes what I've read, if you feel lightheaded, that means your body needs a little bit more oxygen, which is okay. Para los que hicieron este ejercicio, si se siente un poco así como que está un poco mareado, es porque el cuerpo necesita un poco más oxígeno, y en este momento, cuando hiciste ese ejercicio, ayudaste el cuerpo para obtener más oxígeno. So that's good. That means that you were able to obtain more oxygen in your body. And so that means, sir, that maybe you should be doing these practices a little bit more often.
I am. That's pretty simple enough. To breathe, I can do that anywhere.
Right. That's a lot of love. So, we have some people writing in. Shout out to Mary. Saludos todo el éxito. Gracias. Raga Tim, yes. Sparking Conversation, shout out. Thank you all for those tuning in. We appreciate the love. Yes. Okay, so going back into the self-ship.
Yes.
When you think about that, it's about taking care of you. You know, every day, cada día, we're taking care of our families, our spouses, our children, mom, dad, cousin, uncle, auntie, blah, 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 co-workers, etc. Right? We do so many different things. But at what point, en qué tiempo te paras, you pause and say, what about me? I got to take care of me, because if I'm pouring out to everybody else, guess what's going to happen? Your water's going to diminish. So who pours into you? So what do you all do to pour into yourself? ¿Qué es lo que hacen para ayudarte a ti mismo y darte más fuerza de seguir por delante? Whoever wants to start first.
Well, I read a little bit. Yo leo libro. And I try to find a quiet place to just relax, and no TV, no cell phone. Solo yo y el libro y mi imaginación. So that kind of helps me unplug from all the chaos that the world is right now. So yeah, it helped.
Well, I do a couple different things. I grew up on a 500-acre farm, so working comes very natural for me. Where most people say you're gonna, work yourself to death, but I mean, I grew up on a farm where it was manual labor. 7,000 degrees out there in the heat, and
Mhm.
now I get paid to sit and talk on the telephone in air conditioning. That's not really work for me, but yeah, I can get lost in work, and I have to find a balance. And to be honest with you, Yessie and Manny, I'm sorry. The greatest thing that I can do for myself today is live a lifestyle of integrity, because for so many years I was in denial and I lied to myself.
Mhm.
You mentioned, Yessie, that people can be busy doing things for other people, but
Mhm.
guess what? I could tell myself I'm doing stuff for other people, but in reality, it's really for me. That's
Ah.
See, I can get caught in a lifestyle of self-deceit
Mhm.
Okay.
that will destroy any kind of self-ship I can attempt to have. So the first thing is I need to do is be honest with myself.
There you
That's
go.
the greatest
Always.
gift I can give myself, is a lifestyle of integrity.
You said some really interesting words just a few moments ago. When you say talking about yourself and incorporating that, how that makes you feel, where were you actually coming from with that? Elaborate a little bit more.
I lived a lifestyle of, I was addicted to drugs and alcohol over 30 years of my life.
Okay.
And I can remember saying to myself, I'm not going to get high today. I'm not going to get high today. And by the time it got dark, I was getting loaded. Or I quit. I went into this rehab and I quit. That's it. I'm not doing it. And then 45 days, 60 days, 90 days later, I'm back caught up in the grips of active addiction. So
Mm.
to me, for me and my lifestyle today, that's the last thing I want to do. Now that doesn't mean that I'm this perfect guy. I'm not saying that and I do everything. No. But if I do something wrong, I'm gonna tell myself, you know what, Tim, that's wrong. And I'll say, yep, but I'm gonna do it anyway. But um,
Mm.
my point is, I live in reality and I live in
Mhm.
a state of honesty with myself, because
Right.
even even though I can make, I make good decisions to be an acceptable, responsible, productive member of society today, I can still fall short. And I need to be honest with myself, Yessie, to your point. I need to understand, if I'm really and genuinely and sincerely wanting to help someone else, am I doing it without an expectation of anything in return? If I
Mm.
can do that,
Right.
then it's genuinely for somebody else. If I'm expecting anything back, then it's not for them. It's for me.
Okay, and I see your point. I see your point, and that's a really interesting and good point that you're making. So you also mentioned that you were recovering, or you recovered. Thankfully, you recovered, right?
Mhm.
So it sounds like at that point you realized that you had to do something for yourself
Uh,
because it was affecting other people.
Bingo. Absolutely.
Okay, beautiful.
Absolutely.
I love
And I
that.
had to take responsibility. I could
Okay,
no longer play the blame game. I was the reason that I was still trapped, in that lifestyle.
so you living in that type of lifestyle, viviendo en esa clase de vida que tenías antes that you had before, and now you recovered for, you said what, 20 over 20
Yeah, I
years
mean,
ago?
well, it's a process. It's recover.
Okay,
We
okay,
we
okay.
recover a day at a time, right? And so, it's I haven't forgotten how to do nothing that I used to do. I'm able to make decisions, and I've been able to make, these decisions coming up on almost 20 years now, not to go back, not to return to that lifestyle.
It's amazing, bro. Proud of you.
I salute you.
Yeah.
That is
And
amazing.
and
Hmm.
Yessie, and I'll just share this. I just lost my brother, man.
Condolences, man.
Tuesday of this
And
week,
my
I lost my
condolences.
brother to this disease of addiction, man. And it hurt me really bad because I work with people who are trapped, and I couldn't reach him. My only brother, man, loving would take my life, take me, right? But I couldn't reach him, and but what I knew I couldn't do is return to that lifestyle. I
Mm-hmm.
had to remain free. I had to be the example. Whether he chose to accept, my suggestions or not, that was his decision. But I had to maintain my freedom from active addiction and be that
Mm-hmm.
example. And I'm hurting right now. But you know what? Back to what we were saying, I made a commitment to be on the show with you and Manny. And no matter what I'm feeling, that's the integrity that I live within myself. I make
Mm-hmm.
no excuses. I show up when I'm supposed to show up. When I give my word, I honor it.
And we
That's awesome.
appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that for sure.
Definitely.
Ooh, yeah. I'm so sorry, and I send my condolences to you and your family. I know this is definitely tough. And unfortunately, there's a lot of families that have members in their family that are addicted to different things, right? I personally know several individuals that I've come across that are addicted, and I try my best to help the families or help individuals dealing with a loved one, but it's not easy. And so you in that shoe that you were at previously, what words did you speak to yourself, or did you receive to one day say, hey, it has to stop, I need a change for the better? What did you do to self-ship yourself out of that negative and now into this positive?
Because I got to the end of the road. We
Okay.
call it
Rock
they call
bottom.
it rock. Yeah, there you go, rock bottom. I
Bottom.
knew that if I didn't change, I was gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was making decisions, not so much maybe from the dope that I was using, but the environments that I was putting myself into. A lot of people. I mean, I've been shot, I've been stabbed, I've been in a lot of reckless type of situations due to being in active addiction, and so, and then I guess the biggest motivating factor was my daughter. I had a daughter, man, and for some reason I just did not want my daughter to grow up and people say, your dad's a crackhead. She was the one that gave me that last, I- you know, I- that last, you got to try this thing one more time. Because I went to treatment 11 times before the
Mm.
last one. The 12th time was the time, I guess the light bulb came on and I was really ready,
It was
to,
that rock bottom, bro. It was definitely
yeah.
that rock bottom that
And this
sometimes
falls
not
in,
ready.
yeah. And this falls in line with self shit, right? I was
Mm-hmm.
doing
Absolutely.
I was doing something to myself. Nobody else was doing it. I was harming myself.
You bring up a good point too, though. Self-ship, because that self-ship at that point in that stage in your life, you thought that it was satisfying whatever it was, but you realized after the fact that it wasn't really satisfying you. And that's the reason why you positively changed. And so there's many people, unfortunately, nowadays that deal with that struggle because they think they're self-shipping by using
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is and whatever substance. And it can be a gray line, right? And so I guess what I'm trying to say is finding the positive ways to self-ship is pretty much the goal of what we're trying to establish here.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
remind people that you can positively self-ship yourself without diving into that dark road and then slowly start deteriorating yourself, because at that point it's like, what exactly are you doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, Timothy, I salute you for sharing that. You're speaking from experience, and I value your words. And that's why I'm asking you these probing questions, because the goal for our show here is to help people. I know plenty of people dealing with that issue. You do too. I'm sure Manny does. And
Mm-hmm.
so, finding that beacon of hope, that light, to tell that individual who's watching, who comes across the show, tú lo puedes hacer. You can do it. you can change for the better. You can find positive ways to self-ship. Puedes conseguir maneras positivas que te pueden ayudar para tu mente y tu cuerpo ser positivo, right? So, yeah, Manny, did you have any thoughts with regards to that?
Yeah, just I mean, like he was saying, like Tim was saying, he had to hit that rock bottom. Some people, they don't want to see that rock bottom. They just want to continue using. And it doesn't have to necessarily be drugs. It could be fame. I know I've seen a lot of videos where YouTubers will do pranks, and it's just a crazy prank, and they'll either get shot or beat up or hurt. And that's a drug. Them likes are drugs, just trying to be seen. um but we got to get back to loving ourselves and not trying to include everybody in our world, you know because our family needs us no matter what.
Yeah, those are great words. Thank you for sharing that. And I agree. We definitely need to get back into the positive. And I think that's what this
Mhm.
world nowadays is lacking, is we see a
Light.
lot of negative. So where's the positive? Like, I want to see something positive. I'm tired of seeing negative stuff. It's so depressing,
Yeah.
And so, like,
You
for
know,
me, for example, the way I self-ship is, I like to go for a walk and go and expose myself to the wilderness. Sometimes being inside your house in tu casa todo el día is kind of like, you kind of get like shells, you're like, so walk, go spread your wings.
Mhm.
Person watching, when was the last time you went for a walk? ¿Cuándo fue la última vez que fuiste a un caminito bien lindo, de paseo, mirando el cielo y la grama? When was the last time that you went for a nice walk where you can really appreciate nature, hear the birds chirping, look at the planes flying above you, looking at the skies, really changing your atmosphere versus being in the house watching
Right.
TV all day? Like, 'cause I know a lot of people that's all they do is just they
Yeah.
come to work, they're number two, they come to work and then they watch TV. They either order out or maybe they have some cooking, but it's TV, TV, TV.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's the way to self-ship? Because I don't think that's the way to self-ship.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's just my opinion.
Right.
and one of the biggest things, Jesse and Manny, is one of the greatest, I guess, things that I had to come to discover about me is, who am I? See, Manny said something that, sometimes you got to get the focus on yourself. Absolutely 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had to put everybody to the side and I had to focus on what I needed to do for me. And see, once I discovered who I was, now I had a sense of significance. I had a source of value. I mattered. I brought something to this planet that I needed to take care of.
Mhm.
I came here with it. It was inside of me. I became valuable to the world. And so, I use the analogy, we handle a ring that comes out of a Cracker Jack box differently than we handle a 10-carat diamond ring. Why? They're both rings, but because of the value, we handle those rings differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really good point. That's a really good point. And I know we were talking offline before that, but that goes back to the quality. What's the quality of life?
Absolutely, yes, it does. Yep, absolutely.
¿Cuál es la calidad de tu vida?
Right.
What do you say is your value? And Tim, you make a really good point because you do have to find yourself. A lot of people think that speaking with people, in my experience, I found that they're like, okay, well, I just come home, come to work, take care of the kids. If they're married, take care of hubby, watch TV, go to sleep. They're not in this routine. And then a lot of them feel that they don't know what their purpose is. But have you had the opportunity to really sit down and think? And even if you haven't, I challenge you, sit down for a moment, take a breather, and consider, what is my purpose? And if you don't know, what do you like to do? Some of the hobbies you like to do. I find many talented people like you all that are writers, I enjoy doing podcasts and live shows like this. I enjoy acting. We have models and actors. There's different people that have different purposes. Yes, not everybody's purpose is going to be the same, which is fine. You could be a painter. You could be a poet. You can be a comedian. You
Right.
can, whatever. We all have a purpose in this life, is what I'm trying to say to you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
whoever's watching, I challenge you. If you don't know what your purpose is, please, I encourage you, find your purpose. Because
And
once you do, life is going to change. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Tim.
it's our purpose is attached to our gift. Everything that our creator created came here with a gift trapped inside of it. See, our
Mm-hmm.
future is not ahead of us. Our future is trapped inside of us, right? And our gift, what we like to do, what are we naturally good at? What will we do for no pay? What do we want to see change in humanity? That is a key indicator of what our purpose is. What we were sent here, we were all sent here to solve a problem.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the purpose. Everything was created for a purpose, packed with potential, gift to function by principles. That's the steps right there, right? And so when we discover that gift, it'll lead us to what our purpose is. And here's to your point, Yessie and Manny both. There's no substitute for purpose.
Mm-hmm. All
There's
right.
no substitute for purpose.
I
You
agree.
can't take a boat and make it a car.
Mm, good point.
We can't,
Mm-hmm.
You make
right?
a really
So
good
when
point.
Yeah, we a lot of things are said in our society that are just not really valid. We hear them say you can do anything you want to do. Well, maybe, but we won't be great at everything. We're going to be good at the thing we were created to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
what we're going to be. That's what's going to give our life the greatest degree of fulfillment when we're functioning in our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I like that thought. I like that
Yeah.
thought. Now, I see your point, Tim, but I will say this. I'm one of those that I believe in putting your eggs in different baskets. Why? I'm going to tell you why.
Hmm.
Because if you don't try different things, even if you're not the greatest, but you can strive to be good at it eventually, right? Practice makes perfect. Then you really don't know what you'll be good at, right? Like for me, for example, I do professional acting and modeling, but then I also do shows. And then I started designing and doing different things. So I do a lot, but practice makes perfect, right? Eventually,
Right.
with time,
Right.
it's going to practice makes perfect. So I agree and I see your point, but I also believe in trying different things, putting your eggs in different baskets when it comes to that to see what you're really good at, what interests you. Are you funny? Do stand up comedy? Things like that that
Mm-hmm.
people outside the box may not think of. Like you
Yeah,
all. How did you all find your purpose of being an author and a writer, right?
I was
yeah.
an introvert. I didn't like people when I was younger.
Wow. Are you serious? Are you
Yeah,
serious?
like I used to write to create different worlds that I felt like I could live in, and I would spend
Wow.
time just thinking about those worlds and just being there. So yeah,
Wow.
I didn't
Wow, I
really.
would have never
So
known.
how old were you when you discovered that who you are now? I mean, you don't
Well, I'm
quite
43 now, but I wrote my book about 11 years ago, and I
mhm.
held on to it till a year ago. It's been a year
Wow.
since I've yeah, because I didn't really have any support in my life at that time, and as an artist, like we all know that we're the worst critics. We're always the ones that criticize ourselves and doubt ourselves all the time. So without having that support behind me, I was like, it's not going to be a good book, but I've gotten so many good reviews, and but when I was younger, I used to write little stories. I'd watch
Yeah.
movies and then create my own little story and then create my
That's
own
your
little
gift,
world and
man.
just
That
expand,
is your gift.
from that. But I mean, I do all other types of stuff. I do um, crafts. I do, tumblers and T-shirts, and I do tattoos, and I have a
So
day job.
yeah, so
So,
so you have
like
that gift of
yesterday,
creativity. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah, like
same
yesterday,
as
we got
yes.
to do more than one thing. Or with me, I get bored quick. So it's like once I master one thing, it's like, okay, I know how to do it. Um, I'll add on to it, but for the most part, like ya sé cómo hacerlo. I already know how
Sí,
to
sí,
do
ya
it.
sabe.
So, um, I want to find something different,
Yeah,
because this world is ever changing. And if you stay in one lane, it people are just going to pass you by, you know? So you have to try to maneuver in different lanes to try to stay relevant.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
We got one
Before we
comment
go,
though. Ada Blake
oh,
says she goes to the beach to
you know
self.
what? I was
Yeah.
just about to
All
say
right.
that, so you beat me to it. Good job. So Nita Blake, shout out to
Hey,
you.
Nita
Thank you for the
Blake.
comment.
Hey,
Thank
Anita.
you.
Oh no,
She goes,
Nita.
Yes.
Nita, yeah, she goes
Yeah,
to the
that,
beach.
that helps because like just the water and being like you said in nature, it definitely ayuda con el salud mentalidad. Tú sabes? So yeah, definitely the beach is an awesome place to be going to.
Oh, I agree with Nita. I love the
Yeah,
beach, especially the beaches of Puerto Rico. Woo
yeah,
woo! Yes, La
definitely.
Isla del Encanto. Shout out to all
Yeah,
those watching, especially out in La
yeah.
Isla. I'll
Saludos.
be visiting soon. Manny, you were just
Yeah.
in Puerto Rico.
Yes, in January, January
Oh,
25th, I think I left, if I'm
I'm
not mistaken.
jealous.
I went to
I gotta go
Mayagüe.
back.
Everybody, shout out to la gente de Mayagüe. Saludo. But that's where my mom lives. My mom vive en Mayagüe. Y
Uh-huh.
fui a visitarla, because I hadn't seen her in 2 years. So I had went 2 Christmases ago. So I surprised her. I no le dije que iba, and I just popped up at her house. She was like, "What are
I'm
you
sure she
doing
was
here?"
happy.
Oh,
That
she
is
was
Yeah,
so
ecstatic. Yeah, she was ecstatic.
sweet.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
see, that's a
amazing.
good example where you did a self ship, but then you also
right.
helped your
Mhm.
mother.
Yes,
Exactly.
You know,
It
absolutely.
you
was
gave her
That's
that
therapeutic.
joy.
that's a
It was
win-win
definitely
scenario.
therapeutic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, crossing that water, like all the bad vibes that was hanging on to you from the United States, like when you cross that water, it's all dead. Like
Yeah,
it goes away. You
I,
know.
I lived I lived in Turks and Caicos for 2 years, right?
Okay.
In Grand Turk, and I
Okay.
said, I said I was never coming back to the U.S. And but I mean, it's a very quaint life.
Right.
It's
Right.
only
Right.
4 miles wide, 7 miles long, but
Oh,
very
that's small.
quaint. Yeah, not none of the stuff that we have in America. No bowling alleys, no skating
Mm-mm.
rings, no movie theaters,
So
none
you
of
really
that,
got to get
right?
creative with
And
the
and the
entertaining
water was,
yourself.
yeah,
Right.
that water was fabulous. To Nita's point, I mean, sometimes I could go out there, you could look at the ocean, and it's just like so still. It looks like
Mhm.
a sheet of like glass, and
Hmm.
then you can go back out there the next day, and it's like 30, 40 foot swells, right? Waves,
Wow.
and but something tells you, look, if you don't know what you're doing, do not get in here with me. Yeah,
That is hilarious. That
I
is
was out on a boat, because my daughter's mother, she was from the island, and her brother bought a boat, and the young guys, I'm hanging with the young guys, what I mean? And we got out there where we couldn't see. Now I've been on cruises where I'm on a ship and can't see land, didn't bother me. But we were on this little boat and I couldn't see any land, and a fin came up out of the water, and
¿Qué?
the fin was bigger than the boat. I never even saw the fish.
¿Pero qué era? You don't know what it was?
I don't know because I sat down.
That's not, no. Mm-mm. Take me
Yeah, I
back to
Oh,
didn't
the
take the
land.
boat back. I'll
No,
tell you that.
para la playa. I'm not doing it.
ooh, that's some
No,
stuff
sir.
right there.
Say
Oh
what,
my.
man? You're not doing it?
No,
Mm.
sir. Take me back to the dry land.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. I
good with
caught
that.
the freight
Over there.
plane back, boy. I was the first in line, and yeah, I wasn't doing that no more. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
it
can
was
swim, but they can swim better. So I'm
it was
not
a
doing
really eye opening experience.
it. Right.
Really, living in Grand Turk, and I did visit Puerto Rico one time on a cruise, going to St. Thomas, and man, I'm gonna tell you, it was so hot in Puerto Rico, I couldn't even hardly breathe.
Yeah, it's a
it's a
different
little
hot.
hot and humid. It's the
Yeah,
double
yeah.
H squared,
But the
hot and
people
humid.
beautiful. I mean, nice. I mean, this, that's, I was a tour, so I
Y
got
la
the tour
comida
show.
deliciosa de la
Oh
isla.
God.
Woo!
Yeah.
When you taste
Yeah.
that food, Tim, oh my. You're like,
Oh,
I gotta
no.
take me one of them chickens home. Chicken
Yeah.
and rooster.
Yeah, you got to go
Yeah,
to the little vending spots. I mean, the
Get away from
commercial.
the
Yeah,
commercial
I
stuff.
mean, some of them are good, but like the best food is in
The
the
native
little
food.
burritos and the little stands.
Yeah.
They're the best food, and they're more
yes.
personable.
And, and, and
Alcapurria y pasteles.
Oh
Oh
my,
my. Woo.
yes.
Eh,
Mi mamá sabe hacer pasteles.
pasteles. Sí, ay, me encantan los
Hmm
pasteles.
She
and
taught
that
me how
goes
to
right
do
back
them.
to self shit.
Right.
Absolutely. Food.
Being able to have those experiences and have the resources, to experience that. It's really
hmm
important.
Right.
It,
Absolutely.
it really makes life, you know, a different way to live versus, to your point, Yessie, go to work, get up, go to work, pay bills, get up, go to work, pay bills. That's a miserable life.
Right. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, it's a lot of people live in that routine, unfortunately. Hoy
Yeah.
en día mucha gente vive en esa rutina de la vida. Y then they get older and then they look back and they live in resentment. And so,
Yes, yes.
yes, they
I
do.
hmm
just asked somebody the other day, what's the worst emotion a human being can experience? What do you think it is?
Resentment.
Close.
Resentment. No, what is it?
I call it regret
hmm
Oh, okay.
hmm
Okay. Regret. Okay.
because I can't. How do you fix that?
hmm
I know how to fix it. Well, I don't know how to fix it, but I can have a recommendation on how you can fix it so that going
Okay.
forward
Oh yeah,
is
going forward.
Right.
going
Yeah,
forward. Like
you don't.
what in the past, that's the past, right? But if there's
Right.
an opportunity, see, I would put doing like I said, presenta, that's present
hmm
in front of you, and you're debating, should I do it? Should I not do it? And you're trying to talk yourself out. As long as you get the warm and fuzzies, that it's the right thing to do it.
I like
Hazlo.
your little word.
I
The
like
Porque
woman perfect. I like
you don't want to live in regret and resentment because then it's a shoulda, coulda, woulda. I've done that where I had great bookings and I'm like, oh, but it's all the way in New York, or oh, it's all the way over here, and then I don't do it. I'm like, dang, I should have done it. But
Yeah,
I'm mad at myself because I had the opportunity. I can't be
yeah.
mad at nobody else because I'm the one who stopped. You know what I'm saying? So this is a challenge. Another challenge for the viewers is if you have a warm opportunity, a good opportunity where you get the warm and fuzzies, you're like, yeah, I want to do it. There's external factors that are trying to talk you out of it. Weigh the pros and the cons. Weigh them out. Is this really a good opportunity? Because again, you do not want to live in regret. You do not want to live in resentment. You do not want to look back and say, I shoulda, coulda, and woulda.
Yessie, at what point in your life did you discover that, you were going to be this actor, this actress, I'm sorry, and do what you're doing now
Age 11.
at 11?
11. So shout out to the people out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I had my start. I started there was a kids show similar to like a Sesame Street. It was local on the public broadcasting station, but it did air in different parts of the US. And so I was able to interact with different kids. We recorded. I saw myself on TV at a young age. I'm like, oh, this was fun. I could do this, right? Yeah, I'm getting paid. Yeah, let's do this. And then high school came. And well, I kept doing that until in high school came. And shout out to Matthew Johnson, founder of Strive Media Institute out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who gave youth the opportunity who wanted to do broadcast journalism, television, hosting, etc., the opportunity to get that foot in the door, to get that experience. For 4 years, I was part of Strive Media Institute. I learned how to do filmography, videography, editing, hosting, etc. at age 14.
Wow.
And because of that, I knew that was my passion. And I actually have some old clips. I'm gonna put them on Orientia so people can see some old clips. I actually at 17 years of age had the opportunity to go to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and do a story on child poverty and homelessness. It was myself and the other Strive students that were there.
Wow.
I'm going to be honest with you. For anybody out there who has a kid that's not behaving the way you want them to be, take them to Brazil. because that opened my eyes. And I was a good kid. I'm going to give myself kudos. I was a good kid. But when I saw those kids, my heart broke. And why did it break? Okay. We see how privileged we are. Like I saw those kids out in the street begging for food, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. You can even look it up. A lot of them, unfortunately, have to resort to drugs, alcohol, prostitution. They get pushed out in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And there here comes us. We're blessed. And I was like, wow. And so the story was about a gentleman, Gregory Smith, who came from Norway. He saw the need of the father figure that those children in Brazil needed.
Mm.
And he went and took in those kids. And at that point, he was helping 500 kids. This was 20 years ago. I'm aging myself all that. But hopefully nobody's paying attention. But no, so this was a long time ago, yes. And so at that point, 500 kids, I can only imagine how many he's helped. Right. And so going back to the self-ship, that's when I realized that this was my calling. This is what I needed to do. Mm-hmm. This is what gave me the warm and fuzzies. That's one of my favorite words. So you're going to hear that often. Mm-hmm. Warm and fuzzies to continue because I was able to be that voice for those kids. For people to see, para que la gente vea, wow, ustedes aquí están bendecidos, tienen tanto. Y mira estos niños en Brasil que casi no tienen nada. No tienen padres. Mm-hmm. Necesitan ayuda. You know, and then I continued on. And then from there, I continued on. While I was in high school, I did go to Milwaukee High School of the Arts, and I focused on theater and music as well. I studied opera, so a lot of people don't know that I'm a classically trained opera singer.
Wow.
I have a lot of things under my belt that a lot of people just don't know, and eventually it'll come out. Eventualmente, ustedes van a saber más de quién Jessie Rodriguez is. And then, fast forward to in the 2010 through now, I had the opportunity to work with Kevin Hart, Ice Cube, The Rock Johnson, Pierce Brosnan, major shows. So you can see me on your television, Jodi Arias, An American Murder Mystery, Right Along Too. So just a bunch of stuff that I've done. So to answer your question, that's pretty much how I knew my passion when I was 11. Yes.
And that makes sense now. I see you work with a lot of, younger people or people who are newer to the industry, and you share, your wisdom and your experience with them. That it makes sense now because you were once there.
I was. Yes. 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 And that's why I encourage a lot of people that are teenagers, teens and youth growing up is, what your purpose is. But I respect that there's a lot of external influences talking in your ear, right? Kind of swaying you. But you have to have that self-discipline. That self-discipline to say, you know what? I'm better than this. I'm going to strive for something better. And I get it. It's not easy. I completely get it. And I'm acknowledging that.
Yeah. And you also got to realize there's a lot of people, hay gente allá afuera que no tienen, they don't have support. And, they have real bad low self-esteem. And that's where that, word I'm looking for, the mental health awareness, a lot of these young people nowadays either no tienen padre o no tienen madre. So tienen que hacer prostituta o droga. And then, they have that mentality of survivalists. Mm-hmm. So, when they meet somebody like you or somebody that's trying to genuinely help them, they're always going to be fearful because they've always been taken advantage of because they didn't have anybody in their life to help them grow, So there's a lot of people out there, los niños, the kids especially, a lot of the kids these days, suicide rate is high because they don't want to deal with stuff, just life in general,
Yeah.
So we got to definitely, focus on trying to help and bring awareness to mental health,
Yeah, one of the things that I share with people, I had a meeting the other day with some reentry people. They work with people who have been through the justice system and they're reentry into society. And I asked them, why do you think I do what I do? And then I share with them, to your point, Manny, it- I've had a lot of hurt and pain and loss in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't go back and change any of it. I
Right.
can't.
All
But
right.
if I can share my experience and knowledge with younger people to help them avoid a lot of the pitfalls that I fell into, then it makes everything I went through worth it.
Right.
Exactly.
Because that's your
Exactly.
purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I agree that that makes perfect sense. And so just like the three of us, we were blessed to find our purpose. I like I mentioned earlier, I challenge and encourage the viewers to do the same thing. Don't live life with regret and resentment. Remember to put yourself first. It's okay. It's okay to put yourself first because guess what? When you are putting yourself first and you are at your best, you can help everything else and everyone else
Right.
be their best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even if you have to book that massage appointment that you've been pushing off for months because,
Definitely.
oh, well, Susie has this and Peter has that, I got to take them.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, sir, sit down. Book that massage appointment, right?
Exactly. Or go to that movie, even if you have to
Yes,
go, to the matinee because it's cheaper.
absolutely.
You have to, spoil yourself sometimes because to work all the time and always paying your bills and then, the kids need something or what have you, and then you don't get anything out of it. You
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
spoil it sometimes.
And what I would also to piggyback on that is one of the things that we both all of us know is consistency. Put a plan in place. Make it okay if it's going to be once a month, if it's going to be twice a month, put it on paper,
Mm-hmm.
put it and make sure you honor what you said you were going to do for yourself. If it's a walk in the park once a week, make that happen. Because when we hold ourselves accountable, we'll get the benefits from that decision. And then to your point, Yessie and Manny, everybody will benefit from it. But we've
Mm-hmm.
got to be cons- for me, that's what I found that's worked for me. Consistency. I'll share this story with you. Um, what is the most successful restaurant chain you think is on the planet?
McDonald's
McDonald's. Why? They don't have the best food for human consumption, but they're
at all.
the most,
I
huh?
haven't been to McDonald's in
Real
forever.
estate. They have the real estate.
They have the real estate, but they don't have the best food for human consumption, right?
Mhm.
But they're
Nope.
the most
No.
successful. You know why? Consistency. You can fly to LA and get a Big Mac, fly to New York, get a Big Mac, put them beside one another, same product. People know what they're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency is highly profitable.
Right.
Right.
It's no different for us.
And you make a really good point. I definitely agree. And that is a good strategy because that was going to be my next follow-up question is what strategies you all would recommend. And Tim, to your point, yeah, putting it on your calendar, reminding yourself, writing it somewhere, a sticky note or something, so you can visualize it and say, oh yes, let me go for a walk. Oh yes, let me do my meditation. Oh yes, let me book that membership to the gym. Whatever it is that you can positively do to help self-ship yourself and regenerate yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that's good. I like that.
But like Tim said, you got to be consistent. Like you can't just write it down and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it," but then don't do it at all. Or make excuses. Stop making excuses, people, because I was one of those people. I would procrastinate and make excuses. Oh, I'm not gonna go to the gym today. I'm tired. Oh no, it's buy one get one free at Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm not going to the gym today. Yeah. So like, stop making excuses and go. You know.
I like that point. So tell us more. At what point did you realize that was a problem, and at what point did you positively change and held yourself accountable? And I'm asking for those who may be experiencing something similar
Right.
to share.
Right. Um, I wasn't getting anywhere. I would beat myself up more than try to accomplish things because I knew I wasn't going to be consistent or, actually do what I said I was going to, do. So when I moved to Florida, I'm in Jacksonville. Shout out to the people in Jacksonville. I told myself, this is where your life is going to change. And I said, this is the time that you need to put your book out. So that's when I put my book out. And since then, Everything that I've tried to, that I've set forth to do, I've accomplished in some shape, form, or fashion. It
Yeah.
might not be where I want it to be, but God is opening those doors. God, universe, whatever you believe in, is opening those doors, and you just have to see it. You have to be vigilant and see that door open and go through it. You can't just see it and be like, oh, I don't know. You have to actually take that first step. Once you take that first step, you'll thank yourself, and then you'll have more pride in what you're doing, and it's going to make you want to do more stuff and want to take more risks, and um just be there for yourself.
Yeah. How do they say it in corporate America? Performance that gets praised gets repeated and improved.
There you go. There you
You can
go.
do that with your husband, your wife.
Well, well,
Right, absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad that you shared that, because a lot of
Yeah,
people need
that's
to
good
hear
stuff.
that,
Good
holding
stuff.
themselves accountable. And in both instances, in Tim's story, what he shared earlier, in Manny's story that he just shared, they held themselves accountable. They knew that something needed to change. And for the viewer watching, para lo que están mirando, if you feel it in your gut that something needs to change, listen to that voice. Oye esa voz en tu cuerpo que diga, es tiempo para cambiar.
Mm.
coge el primer paso, because if you don't,
Exacto.
si no lo coge, you're gonna wonder por qué voy a hacer.
Exactly. And then going back to what you just shared about change, for me, the change that I knew I had to do was when I was 20 years of age and I was living in Milwaukee, and I was looking at myself and I'm like, my self-ship, I wasn't happy. Like, I was happy because my family was there and I was alive, thank God. But I wasn't happy. I didn't feel satisfied. Something was missing.
Mm.
And I prayed, and that's when that voice said, you need to move, because Milwaukee isn't it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, and I'm saying this for a reason, a lot of people, because they're comfortable, because they see mom and dad and cousin and auntie, and I grew up here, they stay in their comfort zone. But guess what you're doing? You're not allowing yourself to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with me, I took that leap of faith. I knew nobody in North Carolina, but guess what I did? Something told me, go to North Carolina. I moved to North Carolina. And to this day, I'm really happy. That was one of the best moves I made, because I listened to myself. That was a way for me to self-ship. I felt satisfied when I made that move. A fresh start, somewhere different that you can grow. And because of that, so many more blessings and opportunities and big things happened, because I took that opportunity, that leap of faith for myself, to self-ship and to positively move myself forward. And so I'm saying this to the viewer who is somewhere where you feel stuck, where you're like, you're not happy. If you have the inclination that it's time to move, listen to that voice. Oye esa voz que te dice, es tiempo para el cambio. Because you know what you want for yourself. Don't live in resentment. Don't live in regret. The time is today.
I did that 4 years ago, and I'm in Jacksonville. I said it was time to move. A lot of people live in that comfort zone, and I say you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable,
Mm.
because that's the only way to strive. This world is uncomfortable. Being, in the spotlight like we are is very uncomfortable, because we're always critical about ourselves. Is my dress nice? Is my hair nice? Am I acting right? Am I walking down this runway the right way? Are my words going to touch somebody and they understand what I'm, trying to portray in this book? But if you stay in that comfort zone, you're never going to get anywhere. You have to be able to be uncomfortable at all times, and be comfortable in it.
Right.
Amazing. Yeah. I did
Yeah,
that
I
same thing.
agree.
You know, part of my story was, I was living in New York, and, I shared earlier, I realized that if I didn't do something different, I was going to die. I bought a one-way ticket to California, bus
Mm-hmm.
ticket, right? And
Ooh, we caught the bus.
that's
Where
all the
we
money
at?
I
Hold
had,
on,
because
where
I
Cross
you
had,
at?
country for real.
yeah. And,
Where?
and so, and so when I had $300 in my pocket that I was going to take, and I bought my bus ticket, And I said, well, I have a little money to get started with. Well, guess what? I went out and I got loaded. And when the next bus took off, I had $25 in my pocket. And I got on the bus. I was still getting out of New York. And I left Penn Station and I got scared, right? Because I was like, California, man, I've never been to California, gangs, and I don't know. And so the bus that I was on, it stopped in Indianapolis. And when we were ready to board the new bus, it had St. Louis on the front of it. And I said, St. Louis. I said, Fred Sanford always talked about going back to St. Louis. I said, that's where I'm going. True story. And when I landed in St. Louis, I had never been there, didn't know a soul. I had 2 pair of pants, 2 shirts, and $8 in my pocket. And I started over. 5 years later, I was living in a $250,000 home.
Wow.
Because I did just what you guys just said.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That
Definitely.
is amazing.
And I had been clean for 5 years. I had never been clean that long since I was 12 years old.
All right.
And when I landed in St. Louis, guess how old I was, Yessie?
In St. Louis?
When I landed in St. Louis, starting all over again, because I had to start at the homeless shelter in the overflow. You know what the overflow is in the homeless shelter? The
What is the
floor.
overflow?
The floor.
Wow.
But I was 40 years old, man.
Wow.
I had 2 pair of pants, 2 shirts, and $8 in my pocket. That's all I had on planet Earth at 40. I done been around the world. I've been in the military, the Air Force. I've worked for IBM, UPS. I've been in corporate America, and here I am, homeless, hopeless, and penniless.
Mm-hmm.
I had to find a new way to live, man. I was gonna die.
Wow. We've said some really deep things tonight, and Tim, I was going to share with you. We had a great comment by Sparking Conversation. Amazing testimony to your point earlier when you were sharing your testimony. So shout out to the Sparking Conversation.
All right.
So,
Thank you very much.
Conversation.
Yeah, to everybody who tuned in, thank you so much.
Yeah,
this is only a glimpse of what, I mean, hoy en día is going to, like we said, we talk about de todo un poco, a little bit of everything. We got sazón, adobo, sofrito, a little bit of this and that. But today's topic, importance of self-ship. Take care of you. Take care of you.
And then a
quote.
Somebody else is going to.
Exactly.
True.
Exactly. And a point, a quote I made up. It's been about 10 years now, because every time I heard that saying, "The sky's the limit," I would kind of like shriek a little bit. I'm like, why are people putting the sky? Why is the sky the limit? And this is why. Because one day when I was on the airplane, I heard the pilot, "Hey, we are blah blah blah, whatever, 38,000 feet in the sky." Okay, so I Googled it. Me, my curious mind, I Googled it. What's the difference from when we reach the highest point where we can call it outer space? And there was a limit. It was like 158,000 feet or something like that it was. And I'm like, people are putting limits still to themselves by saying the sky's the limit. And I get it. People that I share this, they're like, "Oh, it's hypothetical," I respect that. But for me, in my mind, you're still putting a barrier to somebody saying the sky's the limit, because technically there's a limit to the sky before it turns into outer space. So with that in mind, I came up with a quote that says, "The sky is never the limit because the galaxies are endless."
Wow.
So for those tuning in,
I like that.
The sky is never the limit because the galaxies are endless.
Booyah!
That is definitely awesome.
So for Tim and Manny, where can people find you, find your book before we close out? Whoever wants to start first. Manny, want to start first?
You could go to Instagram and Facebook, Author Manny Morales. Instagram at Author Manny Morales. I'm working on my webpage, so it's kind of down right now. But if you DM me and you want to get a book, I could autograph it to you and send it to you. And yeah, you can find me here in Oyendia every Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes. And for me, you can Google me. You can put in Talk Man Talk in Google. No spaces, just Talk Man Talk, and you'll see. You can go to my website. You can order the book on Amazon. So I'm on social media, anything, all the platforms, Talk Man Talk. I'll come up. Or you can
Perfecto.
find me here every Thursday at 7:30.
That's
There you
right.
go.
Hoy en
Shameless
día
plug.
TV. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for those who tuned in, who followed Hoy en Día TV on IG, YouTube, Facebook,
Yes.
social media. You can catch Hoy en
Yeah.
Día on our pages as well. I'm Yessi Rodriguez. You can find me on social media. Go on Google, type in Yessi, Yesse, Rodriguez, and they'll tell you more about who I am. But nevertheless, we appreciate you. Apreciamos tu tiempo que están aquí con nosotros. God bless you always. And remember, the sky is never the limit because the galaxies are endless. Dios los bendiga.
Peace.